Hi guys, here we go with a short late night video from Mr. Meyer. This is 3.4 day 1, which is standard form. So we're finding x and y intercepts. The first thing we need to identify is, well, what is standard form? Standard form and all of our other forms like y-intercept form, they're just different ways that we find equations are put themselves into usefully. It's like a useful way of looking at an equation. We can mold equations to look just about any way we want, but there's standard form and intercept form that are useful. And we'll talk about why in a second. Standard form is this one. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are just numbers. X and y would stay as x and y. So for an example, we could have 2x minus 3y equals 6. That is an example of an equation in standard form. Notice that it has to be the x and then the y. This could be a plus or a minus. It could be a positive or a negative 2. It could be a positive or a negative 6. There's nothing over here with the 6 at all. It's just a number. That's how we know we have standard form. No x squareds or y squareds or square roots. Nothing like that. No exponents at all. That's our standard form. Looks just like that. The x-intercept is where our line crosses the x-axis. Our y-intercept then is where the line crosses the y-axis. Now, what does this mean as far as the point goes? It's really important to have these two things written down. So where the line crosses the x-axis, this means that y is 0. Y is 0. Let's take a look. Where I cross the x-axis, here's my x-axis, here's where it crosses. I'm a over, but if I think about this point on the y-axis, it's at 0. Similarly, that the x is 0. So notice the difference here. X-intercept, y is 0. Y-intercept, x is 0. X-intercept, y is 0. Y-intercept, x is 0. All right, that's what we have for vocab. Now, how do we find these x and y intercepts when we get an equation? So here we have 4 equations in standard form. How do I find the x-intercept? How do we find the y-intercept? Well, it goes back to this thing that I just spent time talking about. To find the x-intercept, we need to make sure that y is 0. So what we do is we plug in a value for y. We're going to plug in 0 for y. So 4x minus 3 times 0 equals negative 24. I know that this is going to give me my x-intercept because y is 0. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. So now I have 4x equals negative 24. Now I divide both sides by 4 and I have x equals negative 6. This is my x-intercept. Now for that same equation, I can find the y-intercept. This time, instead of putting x in for 0 or x in for y, 0 in for y, I will put 0 in for x. So here is 4 times 0 minus 3y equals negative 24. 4 times 0 is 0. So now I just have negative 3y equals negative 24. Divide both sides by negative 3, and I get that y equals 8. That's my y-intercept. I cannot stress this enough that we have to be able to memorize here, guys. If I'm finding the y-intercept, x is 0. If I'm finding the x-intercept, y is 0. I'm going to do another one that I want you guys to try the next two. If I find the x-intercept, that means I need to plug 0 in for y. So negative 8x minus 4 times 0 equals 32. Negative 4 times 0 is nothing. So now I just have negative 8x equals 32. Divide both sides by negative 8, and I get x equals negative 4. This is my x-intercept. Here I'm finding the y-intercept. So I'm going to plug 0 in for x. Negative 8 times 0 minus 4y equals 32. Negative 8 times 0 is nothing, so negative 4y equals 32. Divide both sides by negative 4, and we're going to get negative 8 as our y-intercept. We have an online graphing calculator called Desmos. Desmos is free to use. If you just Google Desmos, you can use this. And in Desmos, I took that same equation. So if you look at it, they're the same. Negative 8x minus 4y equals 32. Negative 8x minus 4y equals 32. I just plugged that in here and it graphed it for me. And let's take a look. This is my x-axis. So my x-intercept should be negative 4. Oh, we said that our x-intercept would be negative 4. How about our y-intercept? What is that one? Our y-intercept is negative 8. That's exactly what we said it would be. So this is us checking to see. This is my x-intercept because it crosses the x-axis and y is 0. This is my y-intercept because it crosses the y-axis and x is 0. Very important. Oh, that's okay. Now I have these two that I want you to try. So go ahead and pause the video now, right now. Okay, here we go with the answers to these last two. 1x plus 3y equals 3. You should have an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of 1. Next one, we should have an x-intercept of negative 3 and a y-intercept of 5. If you didn't get those, make sure you're checking in with me, okay? All right. That's most of what we have. The other piece of your homework that you need to know, so I can bring up your homework here quick. These bottom 6, 7 through 12, those are just like what we just did. So you got to find the x and y intercepts. The first 4, though, are a little different. These are graphing linear equations where there's only one variable. It's not like 2x equals y or y minus 5 equals x or anything like that. There's just one variable, just one x or just one y. The thing I must stress to you is that y equals is normal and x equals is straight up and down. So let's take a look. If you have an x equals, it's straight up and down. Straight up and down for an x equals, and straight across for a y equals. So let's take a look at two examples here. Y equals. This one, since I've got my note right here, it says when I have a y equals, straight across. And it's going to be straight across at that number. So this one is straight across at negative 3. So I'm going to insert my handy dandy shape, and it's going to go right across at negative 3. This is y equals negative 3. Here's why. Any point that you pick on here, anywhere you want, the y value is 3 or negative 3. The x value changes throughout. For example, right here, this is, or let's do right here, this is negative 4, negative 3. My y value is negative 3. Right here is 0, negative 3. My y value is negative 3. Right here is 3, negative 3. My y value is negative 3. So no matter what, no matter which point you pick, the y value is going to be negative 3. Here we have x equals 2. That tells me that this is going to be a straight up and down at 2. So here at 2, have to trust me that it's straight up and down at 2. Anywhere on this line, my x value is 2. My y value changes as I go up and down, but the x value is 2. So we need to remember, x equals straight up and down. Y equals straight across. That's the way it has to be. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. As a short video, it's only 11 minutes. Good to go. Good work.